This is the voice of the New York Football Giants, Bob Papa, and you are listening to the best throughout Europe, the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast.
Welcome back, Giants fans, to the latest edition of the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast. As always, we are proudly in association with Ali's Man Club. Lads, remember, it is okay to talk. And tonight we are 67% British, 33% Irish. And as always, we're still 100% Giants. Dan, Shane, Kev, back in the building for the second week in a row. Aaron isn't with us, unfortunately. But now that the Scouting Combine is out of the way, it's in the books, we're back to give you a lowdown on the movers and shakers from Indianapolis from the last week or so. As we get closer to free agency, Kev and Shane are going to give their opinions on who they've really got their eyes on. Some more to come on that in a bit. Keep watching and you'll find out what free agents we should be targeting. Boys, how are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Back-to-back weeks of the OG3, as we can call ourselves, so to speak, Three Musketeers. I'm sure listeners will have other nicknames, maybe not as pleasant for us. But yeah, it's good to get on kind of. We'll talk about the combine a little bit today and some prospects, but then it'll kind of be put in the back pocket for a week or so, because then obviously we head into free agency next week. So we have a very brief break on the combine stuff, just as we kind of get starting with free agency, and then it'll be full steam ahead with the college prospects.
Oh yeah, there's OG3 are back, baby. But mate, I mean, it is like you said about the draft stuff. That will take a back burner for this week. But I was just looking earlier on, and it's only a couple of weeks before we start having to produce our top fives. So it's like it's going to come around nice and quick for the old. Got to get those boards in order, Shane, me, you, and the rest of the lads. But yeah, free agency. It's all about this week. I mean, this weekend we're hearing rumblings. Now I've been at Knights all week, and I've been like glued to X to see, who are we linked with, who are we interested in, who's, no one can take visits or anything. But you're going to hear a lot of rumors and stuff over the weekend. But Monday afternoon, I think it's 4 or 5 p.m. our time, is when teams can start announcing potential deals. So it's going to be a busy few days. I'm really looking forward to sort of getting into to what type of players we're going to look at in free agency, and it's interesting to see what players you come up with, what players I come up with, what players listeners come up with.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, for those that are listening and for watching along this evening, if there's anyone you think we should be targeting free agency, get them in the comments. Let us know who you think we need to be looking at, and we'll discuss them as and when we are talking through those free agents. But yeah, can you believe free agency is here almost already? It's like, it only seems like last week we were talking about, the end of the season, the Super Bowl, and we're actually at the beginning of March already. It's just time flies, and it just means we're that much closer. I think you think the draft is next month.
Yeah, exactly.
The draft is next month. It's mad.
Yeah, I know, it is crazy, and it's like, there's not like some top high-end sort of talent in free agency, and there never really is. But just as doing this process, going through, looking at some of the players, I do think there's a lot of good starting caliber players, and we definitely could use some starting caliber players across the veterans and across the board. So it's a very interesting free agency, because Harbaugh has come in, and he's going to want to shape this team and mold it into his image. So I think I've said it before, but this team, come the start of the season, will look very, very different to the teams we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, exactly that. We'll get on to what what it looks like in terms of cut candidates as well shortly. We've got a little bit of news obviously coming up in a minute. But yeah, if you are watching live on YouTube, X, Facebook, whichever platform you're on, I say get those free agent targets in. Also, your thoughts on the Scouting Combine, who you had your eye on, who you like the look of, who you think, again, we should be targeting in the draft. Get them into the comments. Send us your questions as well. If you've got any questions you want answering, feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll get them answered. Don't forget to like the episode. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. At this point, why haven't you? And for audio listeners, leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. As Aaron's not in the building, Kev, how many stars, please?
Big old 5.
5-star review would be amazing. Thank you very much. You can also now as well buy us a coffee or a beer or whichever you decide, can of fizzy pop, whichever you want. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/Big Blue UK Ireland. Show us some love. You can find the link to that in the description. You never know, when we meet up next, we might be having a pint on you. So yeah, get over there if you fancy buying us a coffee. Moving on to the news, and we're starting off with the news as usual as well. And big news that was announced on Tuesday: inside linebacker Bobby Okereke is going to be released from the team. Not really too much of a surprise, I don't think, considering the amount of money he was due to earn this year. It's 3 seasons with the team. He was named defensive captain all 3 years, was our 2025 Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. And I said that move to cut him saves $9 million in cap space. He was set to count for almost $14.5 million against the cap this year. His production last year was very good. Finished with over 140 tackles on the season. But I think it got to the point where it just started to tail off towards the end a little bit. And during his first season, he played every single snap on defense, made 149 tackles in that season. He's the first and only ever Giants defender to post multiple seasons of 140 or more tackles, which is incredible when you think of some of the defenders we've had in the past. But yeah, obviously with Okereke leaving, that means there's another gap to fill on the team. And there's going to no doubt be plenty of options for him, both in free agency and through the draft as well. We'll come on to that shortly when we talk about the free agents on the market that the guys have got their eyes on. But it's definitely a position, more of a position of need now moving forward than it was before. So obviously with the release of Okereke, like who do you think's on the list for potential cut candidates, Kev?
Yeah, so I went through the roster, and I'll shamelessly, Dan Duggan posted something out, so I went and had a look on his feed as well and see the names he came up with. But you're talking about Bobby Okereke. Yes, took 5.5 million dead money, but we saved 9 million against the cap. Some other candidates, ones that stand out to me like no-brainers, are players like James Hudson. We would save 5.4 million by cutting him. Devin Singletary, he sort of found himself, third on that running back depth chart, 5.3 million cap savings by cutting him. And there's sort of the little bit of an elephant in the room, that Graham Gano contract. He hasn't produced to levels that he has in the past. We would save 4.5 million cap by cutting him. And there's a couple other ones like Roy Robertson Harris, 3.4 million cap savings if we cut him. Chris Board, the special teamer, sort of linebacker, 2.1 million in cap savings. Those are the type of ones I'd look at. And other ones that would give sort of significant savings, but you might and ah about whether to cut them or not, would be players like John Runyon. John Runyon come in and play left guard. He would save 9.3 million against the cap by cutting him. Also, surprisingly, John Michael Schmitz from his rookie contract, 3.9 million we would save if we were looking to if another center was to come in and you're looking to move on from him. Although I don't know if I would be for that. Some other ways sort of creating cap to be able to spend in this free agency. I mean, we'll talk about it in a wee bit probably, but like trading Kayvon Thibodeau. He's got his 5th-year option, 4.8 million, with no dead money, and you would save 14.8, all of that if you were to trade him. You wouldn't if you were to cut him, only trade. I'll add that, but you wouldn't cut him anyway, obviously. But you could restructure some of the big players that are going to stay for a while. So your players like Brian Burns, if you were to restructure him, you could save 15.2 million against the cap this year by putting 7.6 into 27 and into 28, and similar with Andrew Thomas. You could free up 11 million this year by restructuring his contract, pushing 3.7 into 27, 28, and 29, which, isn't a lot of money going forward, considering we have so much money going forward. I mean, another way you could do is extending Dexter Lawrence. He's in the last couple of years of his deal. He's got no guaranteed money left. Do you extend him? Do you see him as a pivotal piece? extend him, bring his cap number down this year, and giving him a new contract. So there's definitely a lot of ways for this team to create the cap space it needs. And Bobby Okereke has been the first one to go, but I'm kind of surprised that he's the only one so far. We will see more this week, obviously, but some of the ones I haven't seen. But did any of those names jump out at you?
I mean, James Hudson, I'm surprised he wasn't the first out of the team, in all honesty. Welcome back, Shane. I'm surprised he wasn't the first gone. We saw him, I think, for one game last season. And in that game, was it four penalties in the first quarter? Gave up a couple of sacks as well. Yeah, I'm surprised he's still around. Looking at that list, I was saying before we came on air, like, I think out of that list, there's probably 3 that I would look to keep. Obviously, dependent on the situation with the offensive line, John Runyon, you sort of think 9.3 million saving. Like, is he good enough? At his position, or could we get better value elsewhere? It's kind of it's a tough question. The other 2 I'd look to probably keep. JMS, I think there's not really been much in the way of complaints about him, but again, it's almost like, is there better options out there? Would we have to pay more for that option? Probably, but I think he's done a decent enough job to keep him around.
I think he's worth another crack at the position. I think he's done enough to warrant another go.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, we've not mentioned his name too many times, so that kind of says he's doing his job pretty okay. And the other one, Roy Robertson Harris, I think he had a pretty solid season, and so I think I'd want to keep him around as sort of that depth piece in the middle of the defensive line. But in all honesty, all the rest, Hudson, Singletary, Gano, Chris Board, I think they can all wave bye-bye. Singletary, I think, again, I've said before, like, would he be willing to be RB3 for a very, very small amount of money? Maybe. You never know, but I think he's got enough left in the tank to potentially be RB2 somewhere on better money than you get with us. So
follow Dable again?
Well, this is it, exactly that. Save him over $5 million. It's kind of a no-brainer there, really, for him, and Gano as well. You look at the kicking situation we've had over the last few years. I think it's just a good time to cut ties now and look to either bring someone in through draft, through undrafted free agent, or even in free agency. So there's definitely work to be done at that position. But yeah, I think those 3 stand out to me to potentially keep. All the rest can probably go. And like restructuring, like you said as well, restructuring Brian Burns and Andrew Thomas. Why don't we do that? These are things that need to be done, right? Because if it's going to free up any sort of money, then we do need to free it up for sure.
Yeah, they're pivotal players. They're the cornerstones of this team.
Exactly that. So you restructure them, you sort the contracts out, even Dex as well, and you move money later down the line to save money this year. So, yeah, they're all kind of no-brainers, really. But yeah, Bobby Okereke, the first of the Giants to be waved goodbye out the door. It was a little bit surprised that he was the first, like you said, but he's been a team captain all 3 years, and he's been, a tackling machine. So it's sad to see him go. But I think he's still got plenty to give, and he'll no doubt be picked up by another team very, very quickly. He's had a couple of injury issues, but nothing sort of too major as such. And he's shown consistency, so he'll definitely get another job elsewhere and be picked up by another team. Again, is he going to go Tennessee? Who knows? All right, then on to.
I think with I was going to say, hopefully I'm not going to repeat anything you say, but I think when you look at the Bobby O being cut as well, I think one of the things that's not really been mentioned as much from what I've seen and what I've read is obviously the impact in the locker room. Bobby Okereke was renowned as a kind of guy that you want in the locker room. Got that experience, that veteran presence. He walked Payton Man of the Year for us. And I do think that's going to be something that John Harbaugh is going to have to bring in free agencies, these veteran players, these experienced players, because we have got quite a young roster, really. I mean, you look at that defence, you got Burns and you got Dex, and then outside of that, probably Debo or maybe Jalen Holland are your two next most experienced players. So I think the one thing that we will miss with Bobby being cut is that veteran presence and that kind of experience and locker room leader.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. How is the locker room going to be outside? How's the locker room going to be without him there as a leader? Team captain over the 3 years, like I said. So it's going to be interesting. But I've no doubt we can bring in somebody in his position that is just as much of a leader that he is. Whether it's
Sonny Styles looks like a leader, doesn't
he? There you go. Exactly that. That was the name I was thinking of.
Teaser, there might be a player being mentioned in the free agency section shortly who could be a leader stepping into that role. But that's all we're going to do for now. We're just going to lead you to first base this time at the minute.
Just drop that little carrot in there, and dangle it in front and wait until what we see. But yeah, obviously Bobby O, good luck for the rest of your career. Hope it's a good one. I hope you get picked up pretty soon because great player, absolutely great player. On to Indianapolis then, on to the Combine, which finished on Monday. Some seriously impressive performances and some maybe not so impressive. Shane, Kev, who stood out for you boys and why? Starting off with, let's start from the top. Let's start with quarterback.
Well, before we get into that, and I will just apologise, my signal's a little bit rolled tonight for some reason, so hopefully I'm not going to cut it out too often or pausing too much. But before we get into that, I just thought I'd quickly whiz through the people that's been reported we've met with, first of all, at the Combine. Now, these aren't all the players that we have met with, but we met with 4 wide receivers. That's Jordan Tyson of Arizona State, Carnell Tate of Ohio State, McCoy Lemon from USC, and Chris Belt of Louisville. Running back Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, Kev. I think he's meant to be a decent player.
Best player in the draft.
Is he?
We met with 3 linebackers. Sonny Styles of Ohio State, who we've already mentioned. Anthony Hill out of Texas. And also Josiah Trotter out of Mizzou. 2 defensive tackles were met with, Peter Woods out of Clemson and Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. And then finally we went with 4 cornerbacks, and that's Will Lee out of Texas A&M, Davison Igbinosun out of Ohio State, Jamod McCoy from Tennessee, and Mansour Delane out of LSU. So, like I say, there'll be more players that we met with that haven't been reported, won't be reported, will be reported over the next coming few weeks. But, that's just some names kind of to keep an eye on, because Giants have got history for drafting players not only have they met with, but they've also brought in for one of the top 30 visits that they get.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Kev, what did you thought from them?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see a bit of a pattern there, wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, sort of like players that we all need. And then obviously you're going to have to meet with the best player in the draft. And Jeremiah Love, of course. I mean, you'd be doing a disservice if you didn't meet with him. But yeah, I mean, they're all good players, and they're good players that we will be maybe discussing in a little bit here. But definitely, a lot of those players we will be discussing when it comes to our top 5s and honorable mentions and stuff like that, leading up to a draft. Which, as I said before earlier on in the podcast, we'll be starting those up in a couple of weeks, and I'm really looking forward to getting into our top 5s. And yeah, you'll see some of those names come on those lists.
Yeah, man, for sure. Let's go through this. Some of these Combine prospects said. I said let's start with quarterbacks. Who stood out for you and why?
Yeah. So what we're doing, just to let the viewers know. So I says to Kev, let's pick 2 players each. Maybe we call it winners and losers. And when we say losers, we don't mean that they've lost the Combine or they're not getting drafted and they're a bust. It's just people that maybe you didn't see kind of what you wanted out of, and I'll come on to those kind of players. But for me, one of the first winners I'm going to go for, it's a bit of a homer pick, but I'm going to go for Drew Aller from Penn State. He's a player who's had injuries and kind of turned up at the Combine, and he did what he needed to do. He threw. He proved he's got a strong arm at the end of the day, and that's one of the things that why players tend not to throw at the Combine is because they want to throw to their own guys, a more comfortable environment. But I thought, for you look at his size, his stats. You know, he's 6'5", 228 pounds, kind of a prototypical quarterback even. Sorry, you know, and he turned up, couldn't do all the jobs because obviously he's coming off the back of an injury and an up and down season with Penn State. But like I say, you know, he had the ball out plenty, looked very good, and it wouldn't have done his draft stock any harm from making them throws that he did make.
Yeah, fair play. I thought he came and done what he needed to do in this draft, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
In the combine, sorry.
Yeah.
Lovely. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, Kev, you're going to go for your winner now, and then we'll go on to two, like I say, losers, but not really losers.
Yeah, so I was torn between two here. I was thinking Tylen Green out of Arkansas, but I've kind of gone with the obvious pick and just gone Ty Simpson. You know, he was a player that had an outstanding first half of the season, and the wheels just came off a little bit, and he's a one-year starter. But I think he was the most polished and accurate quarterback throughout the whole the day of the combine. You know, shows good zip ball placement on all levels of the throws. You know, he kind of just come in, and again, like, you know, I believe he's interviewed really, really well. He's a coach's son, and he kind of come in and solidified himself as QB2 behind Mendoza. And everyone's sort of predicting him to be sort of a first-round pick now, although back end of the first round. But you know, he come in, he threw with receivers he hasn't thrown with before, and he just looked like he had thrown with them all year. So I think he was one that came in and sort of like, not a massive jump for him, but just solidified that QB2 for a lot of people.
Yeah, like I say, come in again, another one who did what he needed to do. Come in and he, like I say, solidified himself. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you hear his name called on night one of the draft. Maybe, you know, someone's going to do a Jackson Dart-esque trade up for Ty Simpson, and his draft value is going to kind of rocket as we get closer to draft day. Loser for me, I went for. Like I say, the loser's it's not the nice word to use, but it's obviously the opposite of winner. And I'm going to go for Diego Pavia, the quarterback out of Vanderbilt. Kevin, I'm hoping you was about to say you had the same one.
I have got him, but I've got a backup because I thought you would pick him as well for everything you're about to say.
I mean, when a quarterback comes in at 5'10", 207 pounds, and stands at a podium and says, "I'm taking advice from Johnny Manziel."
My first line.
Yeah, the first line. I'm taking advice from Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. What are you doing, man?
First red flag.
Yeah, who's your agent?
Yeah, exactly.
You might just basically wave a white flag at this point and go, "No, I'm done."
But yeah, you know, I don't think he's a bad quarterback. But like I say, he's undersized. He's lightweight. Probably like another player that Kevin might mention in a little while. Didn't really interview very well on the podium. And if you can't interview very well on a podium in front of cameras, what on earth are you doing in the private meeting rooms with the coaches and the GMs, etc.?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Who's your backup then, Kev?
Yeah, so I've just gone with Luke Altmaier out of Illinois. I just think he came in. I was kind of like, I don't have high hopes for him, but I just, you know, he kind of underwhelmed throughout everything. His accuracy was a good bit off. You know, he didn't sort of do anything athletically where you think, okay, he's got a bit about him on the ground as well. And I think with like Simpson doing well and other sort of quarterbacks sort of doing quite well, he just sort of like he sort of fell back into that sort of like undrafted free agent type of pool of players, and I kind of was hoping that he would sort of push himself into like a draftable player. But yeah, just a little bit underwhelming, you know. Not really. Like we probably should have went with the stock up, stock down instead of winners and losers for the segment. But I definitely would put Pavia in that loser section. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, and the thing is, obviously we're quarterbacks at the combine. Like you said, they come in, they do their stuff, and they do what they need to do, and that's that, right? You know, there's not really necessarily any quarterbacks that like really, really impress at the combine. It's never the sort of position of focus either, really, because everyone's always focused on like, you know, like the speed players for the 40 and the bench press for the big guys up front and stuff like that. So I think for quarterbacks, they're just there to do their job and show what they can do, and that's kind of that, really. But interesting, yeah, to say you've taken advice from Johnny Manziel, like, what are you doing, my friend? What are you doing? All right, then let's move down the list. Running backs. Who impressed?
Kev, I'll let you go the first this time with winners.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he's on everyone's list of winners. I think, and that's Mike Washington out of Arkansas. I mean, he posted one of the most complete and dominant combine performance by a running back in a good while, to be honest. You know, that 4.33 40-yard dash was fastest among running backs, you know, and like it was elite considering he's 6'1" and over 220 pounds. Like you got that sort of frame, and he was you could see the pace on the tape as well, like when you watched him, but you didn't know whether that was like for against college guys type thing, because he's a big back. He's, you know, he can run between the tackles. So for him to come out and then do that, and then the 39-inch verge as well, 39-inch vertical, 10.8 broad jump, you know, just top level measurements across all the boards. So he's kind of one that sort of like a lot of people. I was quite high on him, I will say that. No, I did have him. I won't say where I've got him in my top 5, but I did have him in there and quite high because I really liked what I saw, and he looked like a player that could translate to the NFL. But a lot of people now had him in a day 3 player, and because of his sort of like combine workouts and stuff, have pushed him into that sort of like, you know, middle to late day 2 player now.
Yeah, I think for me, what he's done with that 40 time is just shown that when he gets into that open space, you know, he's going to be gone. You know, he can exit 70, 80, 90 yards potentially. The guy I'm going for with the stock up or the winner, whatever we want to call it, he didn't do much. He just ran. But when you're 6 foot, 212 pounds, and run a 4.36,
Criminal.
I think I said his name right. Jeremiah Love. Is that right, Kev? Am I saying it? Is it? What's the thing that Erling Haaland says? Put it in the love.
He is legit.
Yeah, look, you know, he literally, by doing that 40, it was just like the icing on the cake, basically. You know what you got with the player. Everything you've got, he just comes in, measures, goes, yeah, you know what, I'll run a sub 4.4, I'll run a 4.36, I'll have a 10-yard split of 1.55 seconds, and that's me done for the day.
Yeah,
and I'd say it literally just was the icing on the cake into the kind of player that you're getting with Jeremiah Love. Because he could have just gone, you know what, I don't need to run, I'm a lock for the top 10, potentially the top 5, but he still did it, so credit to him there.
And also, just quick note as well, like him and one or two other running backs stayed behind for wide receiver drills as well, like, and did that little bit extra, like in on-field workouts. So yeah, he definitely sort of helped himself this past weekend.
Yeah, that for a guy of his size, a 40 that quick shouldn't be possible. So it just shows the absolute power and speed of the man.
I'll just say that I think the one thing we've probably got to mention going into this, Kev, is this was a phenomenal combine.
Yeah.
In terms of the numbers that were put up, it was a phenomenal combine. With the speed that people were running, the jumps, the heights they were hitting. Mm-hmm. One of the all-time great combines, really, in terms of the underwear Olympics.
Yeah, I read somewhere that every single position group, apart from QBs, they were the fastest ever, like since they've been recording 40 times.
Yeah.
Every single position group. And the quarterbacks done the second fastest ever. Although, like, I did see John Schmelk give out about it as well. I mean, this was a combine where the numbers of participants was down a little bit. So people were coming and they were pretty much doing what they wanted. They pick and choose what they wanted to do. Whereas in the past, you pretty much done everything you could do. But yeah, like I said, like to put up those numbers, like when you have like, we'll get into it, linebackers running what they ran, even D linemen like running like some serious times, and you're like, you know, they say, you know, the NFL is getting bigger, faster, stronger, like, and it really is.
Yeah, and you know, you want talking about D linemen running the 40 as well. I just love watching big men run. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. All right, whose stock at running back has dropped then, or who is a loser?
Kev?
I went with Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska because I was quite high on him coming into it. I mean, these people don't move that much. I will say that one thing. I'm not going to take people's combine numbers and what I see on the field and stuff like that and move them drastically. But I thought like he needed a really strong athletic showing if he wanted to sort of push for that RB2, RB3 in this class, and he ran a 4.56 40, and he had quite a low RAS as well, sort of in the under 50% percentile range. So I just think, like, really middling testing and nothing sort of like great. So a lot of people sort of had him, other people had him quite high. I think he kind of pushed himself from a day 2 player to day 3 sort of with the numbers he put up this week.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm going to just piggyback that, because I think it was clearly the worst of the stock downs in terms of the running back position. I mean, like I said, Jeremiah Love at 6 foot 212 pounds ran a 40 in 4.36 seconds. Emmett Johnson weighs 10 pounds less, is 2 inches shorter, and ran nearly 0.3 seconds slower. Like, Emmett Johnson's a good running back. I do like him as a running back, as a prospect in general. But one of the things that he's been built on and been relied on is kind of his speed and his explosiveness. So for him to not hit anywhere near kind of what you wanted or what you expected, it's just one of them that it doesn't bring up alarm bells. We start saying, okay, why was that slow? Is there a potential niggling injury that we don't get to know about? Has he not prepped properly? Has he kind of took his foot off the pedal and thought, you know what, I'm going to the NFL draft, and that's that. And these are things that teams will be looking at and be considering, that we're not going to be fortunate or even lucky enough to get to know. But that's the kind of things that you start thinking about when you see these kind of poor times go up on the boards.
And I can't remember which 2 games I watched of him, but I'm going to have to go back and see what they were, because it might have been against lesser competition, that way. So, like, I might have to go back and see who the best team that Nebraska played last year and watch that specific film of him. Do you know what I mean? It's about going back and watching some more games.
He'll be super disappointed with that time as well, won't he? Because if he's expecting to come in and perform better than that and doesn't, he'll be super disappointed. And you never know as well. Like, he might have a pro day coming up as well, so you might want to prove some doubters wrong. But then, like you said, he might then have a slight injury that needs looking at a little bit more or something like that. So he'll definitely be disappointed at that time. Receivers then. Let's look at receivers. Who stood out?
So, this receiver class group is one of my favourites because there's not much high-end talent, but I love the guys that are on day 2. And I don't know about Kev, but I really struggle to pick just a few kind of just the one winner in regards to their performance. But I'm going to go with Alabama wide receiver Jeremy Bernard. Player that I'd absolutely love the Giants to potentially look at taking. 6'1", 206 pounds, ran a 4.48, which might not seem that impressive when you compare it to, say, somebody like a Jeremiah Love, but he did what he needed. He just needed to be in them 4.4 range. If you can hit a sub 4.5 as a wide receiver, that's going to be more than enough. His 10-yard split was 152, and he's a kind of wide receiver. I think Dane Brugler's mocked him to us recently in the second round. He's the kind of player that I would absolutely love in the second round, to be honest with you. And I think you could even maybe trade back 5 picks and still pick him up and maybe get some extra as well. So that's kind of a player that I'm going to be keeping on. But I did struggle just picking one wide receiver, to be honest.
I could have picked loads. I mean, there was so many to choose from. But again, I kind of went for an obvious one. I went for Jeff Caldwell out of Cincinnati. Talk about a dominant wide receiver performance in combine history. I mean, at 6'5", 216, he ran a 4.31 40, which is absolutely elite for the size of the man. He led all participants with a 1.48 10-yard split, so he's explosive get off. And also done 42-inch vert, 11.2 broad, nearly perfect RAS score. He's definitely one that I have only seen highlights of and haven't watched proper film, but I'm really looking forward to sort of like getting to watch a couple of his games going forward. I mean, because that at speed and size combo is rare. So he could do some damage in this league.
Massively. And there was some there was some really, really impressive performances from the wide receivers as well. So I think those 2 you picked out from, they were sort of top tier, top level. But there was some really, I was meant to write the names down, but I forgot. But there was some other impressive performances from some of the receivers during the combine as well. So, who's on the other side of the scale? disappointed?
So for me, it's not all about speed. Speed's the one thing that stands out with wide receivers. Kev already knows where I'm going with this. And it was tied. I will mention the second guy if Kev doesn't mention him. But when you've got so many wide receivers kind of running in the 4-3s or the low 4-4s, and then Malachi Fields, who needs to, he's a great wide receiver. But the one thing that he needs to show is he's got that athleticism, and he didn't. He ran a 4.61, and I wanted at least under a 4.55 for him, maybe even close to 4.5 flat, which I didn't expect. But I thought, if you can get kind of a 4.53, 4.55, then that'll, be sufficient for me. And I just think that kind of it just didn't impress with that. I mean, it was the second slowest time, just ahead of Chase Roberts, who had a 4.65, and I just don't think that would have helped him. His on-field drills, he did look good. You kind of seen the kind of wide receiver that he is. He's kind of like a Kev, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like he's a little bit of a better Bo Collins.
Yeah, I mean, he is. Like he's a possession receiver. He's not going to blaze past people. He has got speed to get past people, but he's your contested catch wide receiver.
Yeah, and he's more reliable with his hands, whereas Collins was a bit drop heavy, so to speak. So yeah, that's who my stock down was.
Yeah, my stock down is very, very similar sort of like premise, and it's like says it's not a massive knock on him because he's still, spoiler alert, number one wide receiver for me, and that's Cornell Tate running that 4.53. And again, it's not knocking the player at all, but at 4.53, I just thought he would have been a bit faster. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really, really good wide receiver class. To be fair, like you said, there's
So Cornell Tate. Now I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a lot of disputing about what his time was, because there's a lot of scouts that said we clocked him at 4.45. So I'm going to be really, really interested to see what he runs at his pro day. So he's going to run at his pro day, I imagine, because he's going to want to prove a point with that 4.55. I think that 4.55 was wrong because he doesn't play like a 4.55 guy on tape.
And that's the reason why I added him, because like my two for this segment was Tate for the 40 time and Fields for the 40 time, and just on those reasons. I mean, both of them will want to run at the pro day and definitely put up better numbers. But that's, I mean, like, people are starting to get scared of Tate now in the top 5. I don't think he should. I think he's still like warrants getting picked in that area, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, the other guy I had as stock day was Denzel Boston.
Okay.
I thought he had a disappointing showing again.
No, fair enough. I think they obviously there's plenty of pro days coming up as well. So
back in 1 sec, sorry.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of pro days, coming up. So some of these guys that have maybe their stock's dropped a little bit, they get another chance to prove themselves, I suppose. A position of need for us potentially, tight end. Who stood out?
I'll let you pick your guy. I know. You better. I'll let you pick the guy. Go on. Because I know you have a man crush.
Last year, I don't know if I'm going to go through your thing, but last year there was a tight end coming at 6'3", 241 pounds, and he ran a 4.71. Kev didn't like this guy. Kev was not a fan of this tight end. Kev was like, this tight end's a wide receiver. This tight end turned out to be Harold Fanning Jr. A little bit of a comp I've got for Harold Fanning Jr. this year is 6'4", 239 pound Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. Oh. And I'll be interested to hear Kev's thoughts on him, because I feel that Stowers is like a big-bodied receiver type kind of tight end, and I think he's very similar to Harold Fanning. I don't know what his comp is. I've genuinely not looked, but you kind of they're in a very similar range in terms of height and weight. Stowers is a better athlete without a doubt, but I think he kind of rocketed, to be honest, probably into the top 3, maybe for most people, tight end 2.
He's in top 3 for me. Yeah, I love him. The more I watch him, I love him. But even his blocking, because he can block, whereas Fanning Jr. couldn't block. That's why he's a wide receiver. He's good blocking, not great, but he puts real effort into it and gets himself into great positions. and he's only been playing tight end for 3 years because he was a quarterback, and he was actually Pavia and him were quarterbacks together at the previous school. I can't remember what school it was, and they had a quarterback competition, and Pavia beat Steyers out. But then they became obviously friends, and they became his favorite target, and both of them transferred to Vanderbilt together. And then he's just kicked on, and you just can see the progression. His progression is like that. I can see him getting much better in the pros, and I think he's only scratching the surface of becoming like a really good tight end.
Yeah.
So
are you going to take my guy then at tight end 1?
Well, yeah, because I had this guy as my first choice, and then Steyers as my second choice to talk about. So I'm, we cannot come on to a stuck up sort of like segment and not speak about, Sadiq the Freak. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Kenyon, he's just the tight end out of Oregon. I mean, he shattered the tight end combine record with this guy is 240 pounds, 6'3", and he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. I mean, that is just elite. I mean,
it's almost inhuman.
I mean, it is ridiculous. I mean, it's faster than all these big wide receivers like Odell Beckham, AJ Brown, like all them. Like way faster than all them. Again, he received a near perfect sort of RAS score. I mean, he was a first round pick anyway, in my opinion. But and he can block as well. He actually can block. So when you put that speed with the blocking ability, I mean, I would not be surprised to see him go in the top 15 now.
You think he's that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2 tight ends that came out last year are better.
Yeah.
But he is by far the number 1 tight end in this year's draft.
Yeah, it's all relative, right? Compared to the class in each year. So, no, what tight ends maybe not stood out for the wrong reasons for them?
Tight end for me, I don't think I really logged on because there was no bad tight end performances for me. I think it's not a deep tight end group either, to be honest with you. So for me, I just thought there was several tight ends I could have put together. I was like, well, I'm just nitpicking there. Like no one really ran slow. No one had many drops. No one said they got Johnny Manziel as their guidance counsellor to talk to. So I was like, you know what, I'm fine not really including it. I mean, Kev, I don't know if you've got one anyway, but personally, I was fine with the tight end group in general.
Yeah, I was. I mean, the only one that I would have liked to have seen a better athletic scores and stuff like that was Tanner Kozel out of Houston, because I really liked his tape. His tape looked really, really good. And he ran a 4.7 40 and just bottom of the class, and he just didn't wow with anything. So I just I would have liked to have seen him run a bit faster. Really, is the only one I sort of made note of.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's traditionally not a huge amount of tight ends in each draft. There's obviously way more at sort of other skill positions. So it's not surprising that nobody really sort of disappointed as such. All right, then, Shane's favourite. Offensive line. So let's look at the interior guys first then. Shane, who stood out for you?
To be fair, I'm mindful me and Kevin waffling on a little bit. So I'm just gonna put them together. I'll just put O-line in general. I didn't put an offensive tackle in interior. So I'll just reel them both off at the same time because, it's O-line. Mail's not on. It's okay. We ain't got to get into it. But my winner, I don't think I'm on the top 5 for the O-line. It's a shame, isn't it, the way it works out. But I will be listening to that episode because the winner for me in terms of O-line this at the combine was Chase Bisontis, the guard at Texas A&M. I really like him. He's someone, again, who I'd be more than happy with the Giants picking up in the second round at some point. I think he's a day 2 kind of player. He's not going to be going into round 1. I just think he just put on a solid showing. And also, interestingly, he was one of only 6 players to do every single drill at the combine this past weekend. So, fair play to him there. Obviously had belief and confidence in himself. Ran 5.02 second 40-yard dash, weighs 315 pounds. Not too shabby. I think I'd be happy with that at that weight. And in terms of my losers, it's not a loser as such, but I went with Francis Mawanoe for the simple reason he didn't do anything. And I'd just like to have seen, because you had Spencer Fano come in who had his arms measured and they're a bit shorter than what people wanted, but he still did the drills and he looked comfortable, he looked fluid when he was doing the drills. I would have just liked to see maybe Mawanawi do something similar. So it's not the fact that he's just a loser. It's just I just wanted him to some of the drills. I went him about him running, because O-line running 40 just for entertainment in the nicest possible way. It doesn't really translate, so to speak, other than maybe the initial 10 yards in regards to getting downfield quick when you're running. But yeah, I'd just like to see Mawanawi do a few drills on the field.
Yeah, I'll go for my stock down was Manoa as well, to be honest. That's who I sort of, and again, it's because, is he a guard? Like, is he going to move inside? Can you take someone who's going to be a guard in top 5, where he's kind of being projected with a lot of the way? So I'm not 100% sure. I think he can play right tackle, but, there's going to be that Will Campbell questions, constantly. My stock up was, everyone's stock up, I think, Monroe Feeling, the tackle out of Georgia. Mm-hmm. He's sort of like arguably one of the biggest risers. His 10-yard split was 171, which is like phenomenal. 4'9", 340, at 6'7", 315, and he's got nearly 35-inch arms. So he kind of come in and went tick, tick, tick for all the measurables. If you were to build a tackle, he sort of like ticks all the boxes. You might be a little bit raw on tape, but I think a lot of people are going to look at him and go, do you know what? I can make him into an outstanding Pro Bowl tackle in this league.
I just realised I was on mute. Sorry, boys. Yeah, I think you can't. The top prospects, right? You do want to see something out of them. So when they don't show you anything, it's almost like, why? Just do something. All right, let's turn it over to defense. Interior defensive line. The big boys.
Yes, so Kev, I'll let you go first. I think I've gone first for the last couple.
That's all right. For me, I've actually gone with Penn State's Zion Durant. He had a blazing 4.75 40 yards dash, fourth fastest interior lineman since 2003. And a 1.66 10-yard split. His decent broad jump, good vertical. He sort of just basically, and all the position drills as well, watching him move around, he just looked really fluid and really like good at everything. Everything, he didn't slip. He didn't sort of like stumble in and out of his breaks and stuff. He just looked really fluid. And again, he's a player I've watched highlights of, not game film. So I'm looking forward to going watching him now. Because he could, be one of those players, be a disruptive 3 technique. So I'm looking forward to watching his proper film.
Yeah, I had Zion Durant as well. And I think the combine helped him, because coming in at 6'1", 290, a little bit undersized really for that kind of defensive tackle position. And, kind of putting a strong showing on at the combine was always going to help him. And again, a little bit like Drew Alley, he did what he needed to do. He moved quick, showed his athleticism off, but also looked confident in the drills as well. Kind of one of them kind of players who's 6'1" but plays bigger.
Mm-hmm. And for a big guy, I think he showed pretty decent agility as well.
Yeah.
So fair play to him. All right, who's the guys that stood out for the wrong reasons?
I'll go again. I went for Caden McDonald. He's a big defensive tackle, nose tackle out of Ohio State, high on everyone's boards. But he really struggled in the drills. He slipped. He had to restart the wave drill. He just looked stiff. We talk about how fluid Durant looked. Caden McDonald looked the opposite. It just sort of like, he just looks like a big sort of plugger. Now, if that's the type of player you want, then fair enough. But I'm definitely going to watch a few more games of him. I've only watched one game of him. I need to watch another couple, because he's on everyone's high on everyone's boards. So I haven't watched too much of him. But I thought he wasn't as fluid as I would have liked him to be, although he is a big boy.
He is a big boy. Shame.
Yeah, McDonald's was one of the ones that I had on there as well. And kind of Caleb Banks come in and kind of stole the show effectively at defensive tackle. But I felt there was other defensive tackles that could have come in and made it their own kind of, Caleb McDonald, like Kev's mentioned. But another one for me, someone the Giants have interviewed at the combine, that's Peter Woods. Didn't do any of the athletic testing, etc. And I just think that this is Peter Woods was someone who was kind of touted as a top 6, top 8 pick coming into college season this year. You know, he's really expected to kick on at Clemson. I'm not saying he had a bad year at Clemson, but he didn't really kind of take hold of that defensive tackle position in terms of being drafted there. Like I say, you know, that there's a lot of thoughts in regards to who is defensive tackle 1 at the combine, in the NFL draft. And I'll be interested to hear Kevin Mayer's number 1 guy, because I think it could be the one position where we've maybe all got a different guy at number 1, in all honesty, because no one has really come in and just kind of grabbed it and gone, I am defensive tackle 1. I've done this all season at college. I've done this at the combine. I blew it up. I am DT1 this year. It doesn't seem to be there this year for some reason.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same. Like Woods, McDonald, and Lee Hunter as well. You know, these are all big names that everyone talks about, and they didn't really impress at the combine. So it will be interesting to see where people have them.
Nice, interesting. Let's look at defensive ends / edge, whatever you want to call them. These, you know, who start for you, defensive ends?
I've got to go for the obvious.
Go on.
David Bailey stood out for me. David Bailey Jr. at Texas Tech. He just looked.
I love him.
He just looked fluid. He just looked sexy wherever he did. To be honest with you, like he
everything's
just
easy.
In and he just went, yeah. Like it wasn't difficult. It didn't really break a sweat. It kind of felt like put up in the perfect kind of numbers that you want to see him put up. You know, for me, he's my edge 1 at the minute. He has been all throughout this process, and he's probably going to stay there in all honesty off the back of his combine performance. But yeah, like, you know, he just made everything look so easy. Like he was just naturally born to play that position, the way that he moves and everything. Like easily edge 1 for me.
Very good. Yeah, so I went with another sort of combine darling and Malachi Lawrence, the edge out of UCF.
He really stood out for me.
Yeah, I mean, he sort of had a bit of a freakish athletic showcase, like at 6'4", 253. He had a 4.52 40, second fastest man all edge, 159 10-yard split, 40-inch vertical, 10-10 broad. Just, you know, there was some buzz around him around the Shrine Bowl, and he sort of come in and just, you know, exploded a wee bit. You know, his position drills were good as well. Again, another one that was just looked fast. As soon as he got off the ball, just really fast, really smooth, really fluid. I mean, he may be a pass rush specialist, but he looks like someone who can really, really get after the QB.
Yeah, he just looks super smooth, didn't he? Like super, super smooth. What DNs / edge, whatever you want to call them, who wasn't so good in your eyes?
For me, I'm going to go with the obvious, to be honest with you. I'm going to go for Ruben Bain Jr. I think when you look at the measurements, he brought in the shortest arm since it's something like 96 or 2002 or something ridiculous like that, I think I've seen. And like I say, you know, when you had David Bailey do all the drills and move the way that he did, and you had Arvell Reese do the drills and move the way that he did, for me, Ruben Bain needed to say, okay, you know what, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with these guys. You know, yeah, okay, I've come in, I've got short arms, but I'm going to put on a performance. I'm going to run. I'm going to do. I'm really going to make myself stand out and show that I'm up there with these guys, despite the short arms. And him not doing that just kind of, like I say, didn't make him a loser. But it's just one of them where I'm like, okay, why did you not run? The other guys have run.
Yeah.
Surely the competitor inside you, he's going to be itching to run and be like, come on, man, let's go. Let's put something out there for people to get talking about us. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Ruben Bain Jr., the player. I think he came across very well on the podium when he was talking. And, you know, I imagine he's the kind of player who came across very, very well in the interviews with teams. But just by not kind of going toe-to-toe with the other edge guys just meant that he just dropped back a little bit for me there.
Yeah, was that his arm? What was his arms length again?
30 and 1/8 was it? I have got it here. Bear with me. 30 and 7/8 inch arms, and it's the lowest recorded at the combine for that position since 1999.
Well, that must have came out early in the day because Cassius Hoyle, edge out of Texas A&M, came in at 30 and 1/4 inch arms. I mean, little T-Rex arms he's gotten himself, but because he was considered like easily a first round pick, and I think a lot of people are dropping him way out of the first round now. He had solid testing, not great testing. I mean, he's small as well. He's not the biggest edge rusher. So just like, he's got good film, obviously, but it's so hard to project these type of players. I think he could have gone from the first round, dropping all the way to day 2, like late day 2 even. So it'll be interesting to see where he falls. But yeah, just sort of, again, measurables came in really poor. He needed to sort of meet people's thresholds, and he wasn't even close to it.
Yeah, not good. Not good. Linebackers then. Who's going first? Shane? You love talking about linebackers. Come on.
There's only one standout, ain't there? I don't know when it was, but I think I might have said to you guys in our group chat early February that Sonny Styles, when he hits the combine, he's going to rock it. He's stock. His draft stock is going to go up once he's performed at the combine, and he put on a hell of a showing. 6'5", 244 pounds, ran 4.46, a 1.56 10-yard split, a 43.5 inch vert, in 11'2" broad jump. I believe pretty much all of them kind of led the way in terms of the linebacker position in history. I think it was at the combine. Just take him at number 5.
Please take him at number 5.
We've banged the table for what feels like years that we've neglected the linebacker position. And I remember when we drafted Daniel Jones, was it Devin White? I think it was there sitting there for us. And I think he got one pick before to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I was devastated. And for me, I think Sonny Styles is the best linebacker to come out since Devin White. So for me, like hands and above. Again, there was a couple of other players. I'm sure Kev's going to mention one of them as well, because I know he's a little bit of a draft crush of Marn and Kev's. But there was other linebackers that really did well as well and did themselves absolutely no harm at the combine. But I just don't know, you could talk about combine, talk about linebackers and not discuss Sonny Styles.
Agree. Absolutely smashed it. Don't know how you can talk about combine and talk about linebackers and not talk about Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. I mean, so there's a lot of question marks coming in about height, weight, stuff like that. I mean, he is only 6'1", 231 pounds. And he ran a solid 4.57 for 40 for a linebacker, which is good. It's like 38 and a half inches vertical, 10-1 broad, all fine, decent. But where he really shone was in his short area quickness. He led with a 6'9" 3-cone, tied top for a 4.19 shuttle. And this sort of like looking at this, you can see like middle linebacker in space. Can you change direction quickly? Have you got a nose for the ball? He's an ex-quarterback. You can see it the way he reads the quarterback. So I mean, like he definitely sort of like came in and showed what he needed to show to show that he's going to be a top 50 pick in this draft, I think.
Yeah, nice. Like I said, if Sonny Styles is there at 5, just take him, please. Don't mess around.
Yeah. How good is this linebacker class, though?
Oh, it's again a little bit like tight ends. Like tight ends, there was kind of no real bad performances, so to speak. To be honest with you,
I'm just.
I'll just mention one quick sort of like stock down, and that's Jake Golday. Not for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair,
for most people, I think like when you watch the tape, he's still class. He's still got all the attributes, but his actual testing was just a bit underwhelming.
No, that's fair. Not fair. Last but not by no means least, DBs. So, who stood out for you guys?
Do you want to go cornerbacks hands first, or safeties, or one of each, or?
Go for one of each. Why not? Safeties. Who stood out in the safety class?
Mute. Great podcasting. So I'm going to go for safety, and I'm not going to pick the obvious one. I'm going to give Lorenzo Styles Jr. a little shout out. Sonny's brother. He came in and he delivered the fastest 40-yard dash amongst all safeties at 4.27, like ever. Like a safety to run 4.2, 4 sub 3.
Very good. Very good.
40 is absolutely. I mean, his speed is legit. He actually started at Notre Dame as a highly ranked wide receiver, and then made the switch to safety, and then went to Ohio to play with his brother at Ohio State. So he hasn't got great production on film, but his stock will rise considering he's probably an undrafted free agent before, and could he sneak into the back end of day 3 of the draft after posting those numbers?
Yeah, potentially as well. Potentially look at him as a special teamer as well.
Special teamer, exactly.
Yeah, big fun.
So I'm not going to talk about him, but the obvious one that Kev's referring to, I'm sure, is going to be Dylan Tenorman out of Oregon. It's absolutely standout. But I'm going to go for someone who I feel's not really had much love, and I'm going to go for Jalen Kogo out of South Carolina.
Okay.
It was only a couple of years ago that we were raving about that South Carolina defense. It was something pretty damn good at the college level, to be fair, at one point. But you look at what he did. He ran a 4.4 in the 40, 37 vertical, 10'10" broad jump. His broad jump was tied first among safeties. His 20-yard shot and 40-yard dash finished second and fifth. And he also put up 16 reps on the bench press, which was tied for second amongst safeties. So he's someone who, for me, I think a lot of people don't know why they're just not really kind of looking at him. Maybe I need to go back to the tape and have a look at him myself, and maybe there's going to be something that stands out that makes me think no. But I definitely think he didn't hurt himself at all at Combine the weekend.
Yeah, nice. I'll just give cornerback plus or minus. I mean, the safeties, there wasn't that much people who did anything wrong, to be fair, so I haven't really listed any safeties, to be fair. No one really stood out to bring up. But for cornerback, though, for me, Chris Johnson out of San Diego State, I mean, his 4.40 was impressive. He's sort of, if anyone had any worries about his top end speed, he sort of put that to bed. He's a physical press man corner, and having that speed, he's been able to keep up with people. So, he's someone for me who I sort of have around that sort of second round. And you'd be eyeing up with our pick in the second round if we needed a starting cornerback. I think he could be come in and do that job. And as for like the stock down, for me, it's German McCoy. He's a lot of people's number one, and it's just his injury. He wasn't able to sort of do anything at the combine. Interviews and medicals are going to be huge for him because he hasn't played at all this past season. So, and we didn't get to see those. So that was the only thing, we didn't hear about any interviews. We haven't heard about any medicals coming out. So that's why it's just a bit of a stock down for me, for him.
Yeah, I mean, stock down for me on safeties. I had Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, to be honest with you. I thought that kind of Tenorman's potentially kind of locked up that safety 2 spot and maybe even pushed himself into the first round. And I feel like going into the combine, it was kind of tied head-to-head with him and McNeil-Warren. So I had McNeil-Warren as my stock down. My winner, I did have Chris Johnson as well, but kind of just a couple of honourable mentions. I thought Dallin Everett out of Georgia looked pretty good. Yeah. Ran a 4.38. And then also, I thought I was quite impressed with Colton Hood, to be honest with you. He's kind of up there in most people's top 5 at that position. And I think he potentially made a shout as to, on the best corner coming out of Tennessee this year. I think he stepped up into that CB1 role in the absence of McCoy this year.
So he's brought in to be a CB2, wasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And he stepped up, and I think he kind of held his own. And he put a good show in the weekend as well. So Colton Hood for me.
One cornerback I do want to mention, and I thought this how he's done it, I don't know. D'Angelo Ponce. How is a guy that's 5'9", posting a 43.5-inch vertical jump, the highest among all cornerbacks, and he's 5'9"?
Crazy.
Make that make sense. Make that make any sense. He's got springs for knees,
and he's good.
Yeah, D'Angelo Ponce is going to be Marmite. You're either going to love him or you're going to hate him. I love him. I think he's a baller. He's 5'9" and plays like he's 6'1".
It's mental, isn't it? It's like you could. I think you could put him up against any outside receiver and he'd give him a run for his money.
I'm so interested to see where he goes, what type of team he goes to, and where he goes in the draft as well.
You see Sandy going to go number 5?
No, and he better not go 37 either.
Wrong go. Right, yeah, some names to watch out for there, listeners and viewers. It's plenty of pro days to come as well, so there'll be more stock rising and more stock falling over the coming weeks. So keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, give some of them names a watch and see what you think. All right then, looking ahead to free agency, obviously it kicks off Monday with the tampering period beginning Monday, and then teams can sign from Wednesday onwards. Is it?
Yeah, they can announce them Monday. They can officially make it official Wednesday.
Yeah, it's that 48-hour tampering period, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, kicking off in a matter of days. Are we going to make any big moves day one? We'll see. We shall see. As we only got the weekend to go, and we'll find out. But like I said, obviously linebackers now position even more of need since Bobby Okereke is released. So there's potentially going to be some linebackers in this list. But the boys are going to run through who they've got their eye on both sides of the ball, starting on offense. So, Kev, who on offense have you got your eyes on in free agency, and why?
So for me, I've gone 2 players. I've gone Tevin Jenkins, offensive lineman. I think he's a solid interior power burst. He's got power. He's versatile, and he can come in and definitely start for us. I think he's projected something along the lines of 8 to 13 million annual average. But he can come in and shoot and be the right starting guard. I mean, the only sort of problem is the injury history, and that's why he's not. I think his performance is better than the money he's going to get, but that's only because of the injury history. So you've got to think about that. And the other offensive player is Hollywood Brown, speedy veteran, deep slot. It could be good for the short term. I mean, he's still got explosive pace. He's 29 years old. Could you get him for a 1-2 year deal between 5 and 8 million annual? He could come in and sort of take over, that slot position potentially to replace Wandell. I mean, and even if he's on a starter, you could get him in just as sort of as good depth. So those are the 2 I've gone for an offense.
I would love both of them. Tevin Jenkins, I think, is quality. Aaron Instant as well said he's a guy he's really, really hot on and really looking out for. And Hollywood Brown, yeah, I think he would be an ideal replacement for Wandell. Shane, offense?
Yeah, just on that, I did look at Hollywood Brown. Got history with Matt Nagy in Kansas. Got history with John Harbaugh, obviously, in Baltimore. Was drafted by John Harbaugh. But obviously, he was also moved on by John Harbaugh. So I don't know if there's any friction there, maybe. But I did go for a wide receiver, and I did go for an offensive lineman. Is that my love of the position, or is that it's the needs? I'll tell you, it's not the former. So the wide receiver I went for was Juwan Jennings.
Okay.
The reason I went for him, he's a slower but a bigger Darius Slayton. I think he ran like a 4.6 at the combine. Obviously, Darius Slayton ran in the 4.3s, and we know Darius Slayton's a kind of stretch it fit kind of player. But for me, Juwan Jennings can be that thing that Dart's going to need, and that is going to be a red zone target until Malik Neighbours gets fully fit. I think I read that Juwan Jennings kind of led the league, or he was in the top 5 for receptions inside the 20 inside the 20 yard in the red zone. So for me, that's an instant intrigue. And then something else as well that I kind of looked into. He is one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the NFL. And if you're led to believe certain little rumours, we may be looking to run the ball more. We're meeting with Jeremiah Love at the combine. There's a lot of rumour at the minute in regards to Kenneth Walker being signed in free agency. So why not take one of the best run blocking wide receivers, someone who's a willing run blocker? I think last year he posted a run block of like 43, but the 2 years before that he was kind of in the 70s. So, he's a big physical wide receiver who's not going to be afraid to kind of take blockers on and kind of help. Because you get them outside runs, your whole line's not going to get out there quick enough. You're going to have to rely on a wide receiver that's going to be willing to do it. So that's why I went for him. And then Kev thinks he's picked an injury-prone wide receiver, offensive lineman. I'm going to do him here. High risk, high reward free agent signing who can offer flexibility at guard or tackle, and that is Elijah Vera Tucker. The reason I say he's high risk, high reward, he's high risk because he tore his triceps in 2025 and missed the entire season. That means that he's had 3 season-ending injuries in 5 years, so that's the risk that taking. But the high reward is if that he can stay fully fit, he's plug and play guard or tackle, offers you that versatility. He can be the swing tackle. Could come in for Van Roten. If we don't bring Van Roten back, it means you're also not rushing Bow into the position. And also on top of that, because of these injury problems, he could come on a cheap prove it deal for 1 year. So if you got faith and you got trust in your medical staff, then why not take a flyer on him? 1 year, 3 million, 1 year, 5 million deal, and if you can keep him fit, he's a day one starter.
Absolutely, and you know what, I would absolutely love to pick him up. I think the only doubt is that obviously there's his injury history, but I think he's been, when he's on the field, he's consistent, and he's been consistently good as well. So I think he'd be a great target to go after, as Tevin Jenkins, I think, would be a great target to go after as well. And Juwan Jennings, big boy in terms of how he's built and how he plays. And I think he, again, going off of what the rumors are, I think he could be a great addition as well, because he blocked really, really well for Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco. So I think he would be a great shout. All right, let's look at defense then. Shane, fire with your defense. Okay.
Yes, a little bit like wide receiver. I've tried to do something that's going to suit what the Giants want to do. And for me, the Giants, they're in the market for a cornerback. Everything kind of leads us to believe they're potentially in Trent Duffy trade, and how close that was to happening is a different thing. So I've gone for a physical run corner. He graded 83.5 in regards to his run defense this past year. 53 tackles. He only had 4 missed. Why is that important? It means that when he's tackling, he knows how to wrap up. How many times have we seen the Giants players tackle in the past and the guy just breaks away? He gave up 0 touchdowns last season with 2 interceptions and 3 PBUs, and that's cornerback Jalen Watson. Kevin, what's that?
Great shout. I was going to pick between him and the guy I've gone for. I love Jalen Watson. High end of the market, but what a player.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he fits.
I don't mind paying out for a corner if he's fucking good. You know what I mean?
It's better than taking a first round cornerback. We know how we get on with them.
Well, if you believe the rumors, we were in on the McDuffie trade, and he wants top of the market, as in the
Big
highest.
money, yeah.
He wants $30 million per year. So
Where's he?
Chiefs, yeah.
Watson's from the Chiefs. So if we've been watching McDuffie, there's a chance that we've had a bit of tape on Watson and we were aware of him. So like always, whether these players hit free agency, we don't know for certain, but it is getting to that time of year now where it looks likely. And then I've said earlier on in this show about an experienced linebacker. I've said in this show about Sonny Styles. What would go better with bring McFadden back on a 1 year, maybe even 2 year deal, draft a rookie in Sonny Styles, and then you're going to bang in that room, you're going to bang a veteran in there, you're going to bang a 37-year-old veteran in there. You're going to bang a veteran in there. Last year, had 99 tackles, 36 assisted, and 17 missed. Credited with 54 defensive stops. And most impressively, he ranked second last season in run tackles for a loss and no gain that led to an 88.9 run defense grade. What do the Giants want to do? They want to improve their run defense. So let's bring him up from New Orleans. Let's give him a 1 year deal. Let's get Demario Davis in the building.
Love that. Absolutely love that.
That is a great shout.
I'm sold. I'm sold. That's what I'm going to say. I would love him. I'd love to have him in for a year.
What, Josh?
Really would. Really would. I think it'd be a great piece to add. Just
Like I say,
really amazing.
he's 37 years old, but you compare a rookie like Sonny Styles with a veteran. Just think of the things he's going to learn and grow and develop from him. Like I say, he's 37, but he played every game last year. The lowest snaps he took in a single game was 53 snaps.
And it is 1 year.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And let's make no mistake about it. Like, if it wasn't for the injury, Mike McFadden was on a trajectory to be a half decent starting linebacker in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still think he can be.
Yeah,
I really do.
but at least if you
Okay.
get Mario Davis in a 1 year deal, you give him the opportunity to get on the field this year, stay healthy, and go improve it the year after.
Yeah.
Love that.
Who have you got on defense then?
On defense, I'm seeing a bit of a theme here, to be honest, because
Oh, yeah.
I have also gone linebacker and cornerback. I've gone for linebacker. I've gone for Leo Chanel, who was a draft darling for me and Shane when he came out a few years ago. He's a versatile. Oh my God, yeah, and I might have a chance to get him. I mean, he's a versatile 3-down linebacker, used sparingly in Kansas City. They had Nick Bolton, they had other players there as well. But I think he's got good sideline range, good coverage, especially versus backs and tight ends. Can play a bit of special teams if you need him to. You probably wouldn't need him to, but I think he's only 25 as well, so he's rising. I think he will get better. And I've seen on different sites, he could get like a deal 3 years, 25 mil, around 8 or 9 per year. Do you know what I mean? That's the money you see it from Bobby O to get a younger, faster, better player, in my opinion, and bring him in. He's young enough that he can grow with this defense. So if you do, bring in someone like Sonny Styles or another linebacker in this draft, they can actually grow together. Rodriguez is only like a year younger than him. Do you know what I mean? So, if you were to go down that route, I think it's an absolute no-brainer to get him in. But I think he'll have competition. I think we'll have competition for a signature. So that might be a bit of a tricky one. And on the cornerback side of things, I've gone with Eric Stokes, the ex-Raiders and Packers. He was an ex-first rounder. He's got blazing speed and length. Could he be like a low cost? I say low cost, he's probably going to cost you sort of 7, 8, 9 million per year. But bring him in maybe 1-2 year deal, like a bit of a prove it year. But it's kind of the ultimate gamble. He's got elite traits. He's played well in the past, especially at the Packers. Do you know what I mean? So if the light fully comes on for him, he's someone who I think could be an excellent cornerback in this league.
Again, I wouldn't be disappointed with either of them. I think Leo Chanel could be bringing him in and 2-3 years, and he could be that LB1 that we really, really need. Eric Stokes, again, I think that's a great shout corner. It's a great shout. He's been consistently good in the league as well, so I think he'd be a ideal candidate to bring in the defensive backfield for sure. I know, Kobe, you asked in the group chat earlier for some of our friends / listeners to send some names in. Who did they send them?
Yeah, got some really, really interesting ones. Kieran gave us Isaiah Likely, the tight end from the Ravens. He's young, he's 26. He's an athletic tight end, 6'4", 245. Definitely a pass catching tight end. But with Harbaugh wanting to run the ball more, will we see more of 2 tight end sets? Could Theo Johnson be your traditional tight end, wide tight end? But then you have Isaiah Likely, who, in theory, could be your big slot tight end. And he could sort of take the position that Wandell's left, essentially. Do you know what I mean? Being that big sort of like mismatch player in the slot. But I think he will get paid. I think it's projected at 3 years, 35 to 45 million, around 12 to 15 million. Do you know what I mean? He is a matchup nightmare.
Could we pay him that much?
Well, exactly, and that Harbaugh and Don Conte and Joe Sheehan. That's why they paid the big bucks to work all this out. But another one he said was the Kenneth Walker one, which he's a Super Bowl champ. He's one of the best in the league, but he's probably going to be asking for 14 mil per year. Now,
especially being the reigning Super Bowl MVP as well. He's going to maybe get a little bit more money than he would have done if he hadn't have won the ring.
We don't need him when we take my love at number 5 anyway, do we, Kev?
Not at all. Not at all. I will go mad if that happens. But and then Peter's come in with an interesting one as well. Deebo Samuel, a wide receiver, ex-49ers Commanders. You know, he's 30, but you know, he's still sort of a physical phenom, and he'd come in and definitely do a job. But you know, he's not going to get his 17.5 million he got last year, but he could command sort of 10 to 15 per year. Again, would you look at spending that much? And Holtby's come in with the absolute swing for the fences, and Alec Pierce, the wide receiver for the Colts. You know, he's a deep threat stud. You know, 50-50 catch reliability. He's a great fit for what we want to do. It's an interesting one. He's projected to get like 4 years, 80 to 100 million, 20 to 25 million. So could that price us out? And then some other ones, I'm just going to shoot off, but some other ones, some other ones were Romeo Doubs, Nakobe Dean, Cade Otton, or some other ones that the lads run through. I'm on daddy duty, so I've got to go and see the other one, lads.
Go. There's no problem. But yeah, let's talk about Nakobe Dean. I know when he came out, Shane, you're quite hot on him. Would you want to see him in Giants blue?
As long as he can stay fit for me. I mean, I think if you look at, because I think he fell in the draft if I remember right.
He did.
Yeah, he went to the 3rd round, and I think I had a bit of a first round grade on him, and I think he just fell due to the injuries basically. And I think he has had a few injuries in the NFL. He only played 10 games this past season, which he started 8. Kind of 15 the season before, but then it was 5 the season before that, and then obviously 17 in his rookie season. So he can't be on an up and down, and if you follow that trajectory, he's due a bit of an up season potentially this year. So you know, for the right money, and as long as he's proven to be fully fit and fully healthy, I'd have no issues in Nakobe Dean. Like we said, you know, you're cutting Bobby O. You know, me and Kev haven't liaised in regards to the free agent signings we suggested. There's a reason why we're looking at there's a reason why we've interviewed so many linebackers at the combine. There's a reason why me and Kev have named it in our free agents, and there's a reason why Sonny Styles is being spoken at number 5 to us. Is because linebacker has been an issue, massively overlooked for years. And when you tie in what John Harbaugh did at Baltimore, the way that he valued the linebacker position,
100%,
it just makes 100%. Kind of sense. And like I say, you know, and the thing that pisses me off a little bit, so to speak, is that we've spoke so many times on this podcast about we need to upgrade linebacker. We need to invest something at the linebacker position. You know, I think, I don't know who it was, but I seen on Twitter the other day that someone said something like, since 2010 or 2012, the New York Giants have drafted 3 linebackers in the first 5 rounds of the draft. That's
total, criminal.
That's embarrassing to me. And I think it was like Ryan Connolly, might have been Micah McFadden, and I can't remember who the 3rd one was. And it's like, you know, realistically, in my time following the Giants, outside of Bobby Okereke, we've never invested anything in the lot. And I'm not talking about trading for Alec Ogletree. That does not count.
No.
You know, in my time as a fan, we've never really invested anything in the linebacker position other than Bobby Okereke. Most teams play with 3 linebackers, so investing in 1 in nearly 10 years is embarrassing.
Yeah. No, I agree. We're just talking about Nakobe Dean, Kev, because like I said, I know Shane was quite high on him when he came out of the draft, and obviously he dropped down because of his injury concerns. But I think the fact, you know, he had a good season, he had a down season, he had a bad season his rookie year. Next season was good. He's sort of like on that bit of a trajectory where this next season coming up could be a good one. So obviously he's got injury concerns, I know that, but could you get him for a little bit less money maybe than he's wanting based off of injury concerns?
Well, that's it. It's going to be boom or bust, isn't it? I mean, like, he's got exciting tape. He's played well in the league. It's can you trust the health? And I've seen his sort of like average AAV coming in anywhere between 7, 8 up to 15. So it really depends sort of like, you know, how it plays out. But he's definitely an interesting one though, isn't he? Like I said, very boom or bust.
Yeah, and I mean, like Shane was saying as well, there's a reason we've spoken about linebackers this entire episode is because you fucking need linebackers, and we should absolutely invest in them. So, you know, maybe even add in Nakobe Dean for a bit of depth at linebacker as well.
And that was so that was Neil. Neil came up with Nakobe Dean and Romeo Doubs, and I actually really like those two as well. I think I don't know what he said about Romeo Doubs, but he is sort of made for this offense as well. I mean, he's definitely a good, solid number 2, good at contested catches, good in the red zone, high floor. It's just the Green Bay sort of had a lot of. He was undervalued there, although he was productive. But they just had so many good wide receivers in Green Bay, sort of like he sort of got shook away from the mix, if you like.
Yeah, again, I like Romeo Doubs. I think he'd be a great addition, and it'd be interesting to see him with a different quarterback. Obviously, he played under Julian Love. Did he play under Aaron Rodgers when Aaron Rodgers was there?
I think he
I can't
did.
remember. Yeah, maybe one season. But yeah, he's never really sort of been in the real sort of limelight. He's never been that sort of starting wide receiver. He's always been that sort of rotational piece. So if he became a wide receiver 2 or 3 or whatever and got that starting role week in week out, that could be an interesting pickup as well. Alrighty, any other free agents you think of mentioned that you think that would be good to go after? I know Aaron's sent in his list of free agent targets he's looking at, but any of you,
Yeah.
don't know.
What the one that Aaron mentioned, Wyatt Teller, I think he could be a high possibility. And to be honest with you, I'd still bring Van Roten back for a year if you can get it done as well. You still need depth at the end of the day.
I think
Absolutely.
bringing Van Roten back is a no-brainer, even to be the swing guard who can cover center a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And you might give him a hometown discount.
Yeah, so they're looking at Aaron's list. The players he's highlighted. Running back Tyler Algier out of Atlanta. He's highlighting fullbacks for some reason. Are we in the market for a fullback?
I mean, Harbaugh played with a fullback, but I don't know if Matt Nagy played with one at Chiefs. And it's going to be Matt Nagy's offense, isn't it? I mean,
I don't remember the Chiefs playing fullback.
No, I know, and or the Bears. So I do think, well, like Harbaugh, it's easy to go right. Well, what type of player Harbaugh likes, but Harbaugh is a GM head coach, isn't he? Is he very much the defensive coordinator is his defense, the offensive coordinator is his offense, and he sort of just oversees everything. He has a style and way he wants to play, obviously, of course, but so like I said before, everything's on the table for this offseason.
Sure. Receivers, he's highlighted Mike Evans. I mean, a year of Mike Evans would be class, wouldn't it?
Yes, please.
Romeo Doubs, Christian Kirk out of Houston.
Oh, that'd be a really interesting, cheaper version of Wandale. I can see that as a good fit.
Yeah, and Jalen Nader from the Vikings as well. Tight ends, David Njoku from Cleveland. Obviously, he was very high up a lot of people's boards when he came out of the draft a few years back.
And he's going to be sort of after. I've read somewhere today that the Eagles are interested in him because they're letting Goddard go.
Of course they are.
And he'll still no doubt score touchdowns against us. Isaiah Likely, obviously the whole Baltimore link. We've obviously mentioned him. I'm not going to destroy his first name, but Okonkwo out of Tennessee.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
And Charlie Kolar again from Baltimore. So obviously that Baltimore link is quite prevalent. Offensive line.
Interesting. None of us have mentioned Tyler Linderbaum.
Well, we're coming on to offensive line.
Breaking news.
He's not highlighted Tyler Linderbaum.
Oh.
The reason being,
Giants have signed a player.
Say again.
The Giants have signed a player.
Have they?
Is it going to be some no name that we don't know?
Oh no, you know him. You know him. Schefter just tweeted before becoming a free agent next week. Wide receiver Gunnar Osheshki reached an agreement on a 1-year deal to return to the New York Giants.
Well, Gunner's coming back. Okay.
Gunner's coming back. He's your
returner. Yeah, 100%.
Nice. Happy
I
with
like
that
move. Yeah, same. I think he You know, we even saw what he could do at receiver towards the end of the season as well. Thanks, actually. Yeah, we even saw what he could do at wide receiver towards the end of the season. I think he
Can
caught
give you some snaps.
Yeah, 100%. The only two offensive linemen that Aaron has highlighted, Jermaine Illuminor being one, and Rob Havenstein from the Rams as the other one.
Do you know who's an interesting one? Is it Wirfs? Is he the one that hasn't played for a full season? But he's
Tristan
yeah,
Wirfs.
but he's fully healthy now. Ex-first
Is he
round
the
pick.
Buccaneers guy?
Is it
Yeah.
him?
Tampa Bay, yeah.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, they're the two tackles he's highlighted. Obviously, we're not really in the. We're hoping that Illuminor re-signs, and we're not in the market necessarily for a tackle. If we do take a tackle, it will hopefully maybe be in the draft. Guards, Sumali from Pittsburgh, David Edwards from Buffalo, obviously Greg Van Roten, Wyatt Teller, Cleveland, Tevin Jenkins, Cleveland, and obviously Elijah Vera-Tucker from the Jets as well. Nobody really surprising there.
Tristan Wirfs isn't a free agent.
No, it's Jedrick Wills. My apologies. The former Browns offensive tackle.
Where did he come from, Kev?
Where did he come from? Bama.
Do we want a Bama offensive lineman?
No,
we want to
don't.
get down that road again.
Can we get that cropped in post-production, please?
Conversation ended there. Edge. I'm surprised he's highlighted Jihad Ward.
Well, it came from Denard. Denard was his ODC in Tennessee recently.
Very true. Would we want to bring Jihad back?
It all depends on money, doesn't it?
Yeah. Kyle Van Noy's another one he's highlighted, which again
that'd be a good vet minimum one.
And Dante Fowler Jr. from Dallas. Linebackers, there's quite a few he's highlighted there, unsurprisingly. Demario Davis, Alex Singleton, Caden Ellis, Alex Anzalone, Devin Bush, Devin Lloyd, Leo Chanel, and Willie Gay Jr.
Another one, Connor Hughes tweeted about an hour ago, basically just saying that the Giants made calls on McDuffie. He didn't get the sense per sources they were heavily involved as perceived. Doesn't mean they're not targeting cornerbacks, and apparently Jamal Dean is someone he's heard that high on. I wouldn't hate Jamal Dean, to be honest with you.
That would be a great signing. The reason I didn't add him is because I thought he'd be out of our price range. I thought he'd be
same
unattainable.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to be coming in, but apparently he's heard that, Jamal Dean is someone that the Giants are high on. And like we've said, there's a reason why we've named cornerback as well as a position that we want, and why we've been kind of, linked to them in free agency. It's because it's a need at the end of the day.
Exactly that. And talking of the cornerbacks as well, the ones that Aaron's highlighted: Eric Stokes, Jalen Watson, Russell Douglas, Monerick Brown from Jacksonville, Jamel Dean, Tarek Woolen, Awuzie from Baltimore, Greg Newsome, and Asante Samuel Jr. Some good names on there as well that he's looking at. And safeties, Kobe Bryant and Andrew Wingard.
Safety's a sneaky need at the moment, a third safety anyway.
Yeah, I think so as well. Free agency begins Monday, people. So let's get through the weekend, and then we'll see what happens Monday. Was it 5 p.m?
I believe so.
Yeah, so it all begins. All the excitement begins on Monday evening. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for this evening. We'll be back next Thursday to talk everything free agency, believe it or not. Whether we made any big... I know. It's a sad time, I must admit. But yeah, we'll be back next Thursday to talk everything free agency, whether we made any big marquee signings. By that point, I'd like to hope so. I want a linebacker, I want a cornerback, and a wide receiver in free agency. They are my three positions of we need help. So let's get some of them in. Obviously, offensive line, guard. Let's see what happens, and I'll hopefully re-sign Illuminor at least, and maybe even John Runyon as well. But let's see what happens. Plenty to come next week, so we'll bring you all the latest next Thursday evening. So make sure you tune in then. Anything else to add before we go, guys?
No, it's like I said at the start of the show, kind of the draft talk will kind of take a bit of a break for a week or so, whilst we kind of talk free agents. Imagine the Giants are going to be very, very busy over the weekend. Look out on our socials, we'll be tweeting stuff. I don't know what the guys are doing next week, but I know I'm on nights Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so kind of I'll be up in American time effectively. So, if it comes through in the middle of the night, check our socials when you wake up in the morning, because I'll be retweeting and posting stuff out as well. And I'm sure the other guys will be tweeting out in the daytime as and when news breaks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. It'll be interesting to see what type of players come in. Like how it does feel like Harbaugh and the Giants are sort of big fish hunting at the moment. And will we see a big trade?
You get that feeling, don't you?
Yeah, will there be a big trade, a big signing of something of intent? But like you said, next Thursday we'll be here again and we'll discuss everything that's happened. Good or
this
bad.
Next week as well is where this next week as well is where you see what kind of team John Harbaugh wants to build here in New York, what the foundations are going to be for going forward.
Yeah, it's a big free agency period coming up, massive, because then the team starts to take shape, and then obviously you sort of channel down the route of, okay, this is where we're potentially going for the draft as well. So it's a big week coming up, and it's always an exciting one as well, because bringing in a big marquee sign at a position of need is always an exciting thing. And this time next week we might have some decent players and some big signings coming. So watch this space. Appreciate those that have been watching this evening. Appreciate you getting involved in the comments as well. We appreciate the love and everything as always. And my thanks as ever goes to Shane and to Kev for joining me. We're signing off until next time. Let's go Giants.